Obviously, I would have to. I read that years ago, so I'd have to like re-up. Alrighty, welcome to the Jiu Jitsu Journal. Pause.
Starting off good.
Welcome to the Jew. No, welcome to the Jiu Jitsu Journal. I am joined by Jack, the Cake Carrasco. I am Keegan, BD Worthington. It stands for Built Different. Pervert. All right.
You also remember the BDC, which is the Built Different Club.
Part of the
with anything else.
part of the BDC. All right. So we are doing a Lucas Lepri versus Kaynan Duarte at IBJJF Europeans 2019. This is just an absolute. This isn't necessarily the finals. I'm pretty sure he loses the absolute, but this is just one of the matches that happens inside.
I did not.
Yeah, so this is
I figured this was the final.
No, this wasn't the finals. I think it was like semifinals. But it's just popular just because Lucas Lepri. Okay, spoilers. You know, we're so bad at spoilers on this thing that I'm just going to say it. Lucas Lepri wins this one. Yeah. So Lucas Lepri wins, and that's why it's pretty popular. And and he's the much smaller guy, and becomes a part of the narrative of this match. So let's get started just talking about the athletes. I know I've been watching Lucas Lepri for a while. He's one of those guys I've been watch footage and match footage of quite a bit, just because me and Jack were talking about this off the podcast. He's just almost good in gi, especially in gi. He's good like everywhere. He always makes the right decisions. He's a cerebral guy in gi. You could say he's very athletic. He does some flashy things, but it is not the bulk of his game. The bulk of his game is very reliable, consistent techniques. It's knee cuts, single legs, De La Hiva to single leg, very basic jiu-jitsu stuff that you could watch and it's like, oh, that's just what my coach taught me yesterday, but he's just doing it at a high level. And then Kaynan Duarte, I'll be honest, I'm kind of a Kaynan hater at this point. I think he's very good. He's probably one of the most frustrating athletes, I think, to watch in jiu-jitsu because he is so big, strong, and athletically gifted. He is an ADCC gold medalist, so I'm not going to take that away from him. Twice. And he's like good, but he's just not consistently good, right? Sorry, Ken, but he's good. I'm not taking away from him. He's a good athlete. He's just not very consistent. He can beat some of the best people on the planet, and then sometimes he just loses in the most embarrassing fashion, and it's like against, So what do you know about these athletes, and did you know about these athletes coming into this?
I'm pretty familiar with Kaynan. I don't know if I would call myself a Kaynan hater, but I definitely view him as like
confirmed Kaynan hater.
I definitely know of him and view him as very much an athlete who kind of uses his athleticism maybe more so than like strictly technique. Lucas Lepri, I'm gonna be honest, I have not really watched a whole lot of him.
Again,
I know who he is. I know he's an important figure in jiu-jitsu, but like haven't really watched a lot of his matches. So this was a cool match to watch, especially against someone as athletic and explosive as Kaynan, to see just how cerebral and calm Lepri was throughout the whole match.
And this is also outing like part of me. Like, I didn't start this podcast with the sole intention of forcing Jack to watch gi footage, but I have been filtering gi footage and forcing him to watch gi footage as a part of this. So it's like, it wasn't part of the plan, but it was secretly part of me indoctrinating him into like watching and trying to get him to understand that gi can be cool too, even though it can be also boring as hell. But yeah, so we could get one more thing. Like, You said he's just an important figure. Is there something that stuck out, like even before we get started, that stuck out to you about his performance in this match that like stuck out to you?
I would say like really his composure. Like if I remember correctly, from like almost the whole like first half of this match, he's down 2. Spoilers, I guess. And still like didn't try to explode out of position or like do something crazy. Just like kept his frames and his grips really solid, and like slowly incrementally worked to the position that he wanted. Got a sweep and a takedown. And then, it's kind of a back and forth match. Like Kaynan kind of comes back on top, and then same thing, was very composed. Just like, okay, well, I gotta do it again, and boom, did it again. So I would say over anything, probably his composure of, I guess kind of a similar takeaway from Wierzinski in the Wierzinski match of like the confidence of knowing like, okay, I might be down right now, but I know that if I can get here, I can still win.
Yeah. And I guess I'll preface this match just by saying too that like, just so we can understand what our opponent or what the Lucas is going for in this match, because I think a lot of the times too, like it gets lost when we're watching footage. We don't actually like think about what they're going for and what their game is, and then the other person going into it. Right. So Lepri is a De La Riva player. He's a single leg player. He's a knee cut specialist. He's a very good passer. So based on that, that's where you'll see Kaynan making certain decisions in this match to avoid the set game plan.
Right.
Alrighty. So I might be referencing Lucas Lepri's game, which may not be displayed, but is an actual threat that Kaynan is having to think about and where Lucas is trying to go. All right. Yeah, we're starting at the start of the match. We just shook hands. Combate. All right. So first thing, right here when they grip up, you'll notice Lucas Lepri gets the most basic grip possible. I'm going to pause at 9:48. The reason this is actually kind of a great grip setup is behind the elbow here and on the collar here. Like they're starting right away, and his hips are back. This is great because this is kind of like a normal pose for he can pull guard and he can shoot off of it. Right.
It immediately sets him up for like 2 different attacks. Right. Like one, he could throw that left foot up to the hip or on the inside, pull guard because he has that arm controlled. Or like you were saying, he can get a push-pull reaction, drive into him, shuck over the top to shoot.
And like usually what you'll find is that someone smaller like this will elect to pull guard so they don't lose their takedown points.
Right.
Which is, I think, also explains what happens like right away. So we're going to hit play. And he shoots down for a single instead of pulling guard, which I think Kaynan thought. And this is where it's actually funny to me too, because how calm Kaynan is here. And I think this is where we were talking about before, Kaynan being an athlete and using his size so much. Because what he does here is these are the most like someone abusing their power more than anyone I've seen in a gi match in a long time. Kind of ragdolls him a bit. Gets an advantage for that. And then he just kind of bullies him down. And like Lucas tries to get under him into this like deep half. And we'll pause right here. Is there anything you wanted to say about those exchanges?
I guess to say something about how you could potentially mitigate or even negate someone like bullying you like that when you have the single leg. A little bit better posture, right? Head kind of up towards their chest instead of down. You also notice that Lepri on a single leg is like in that very like kind of square single leg, where it's like
very jiu-jitsu based.
Very jiu-jitsu based, right? Where you're just kind of pinching the leg between and like just kind of head on. Ideally, your legs are actually kind of splayed open, and you have a tension of back and forth instead of squeezing in to keep the leg in place, which makes it a little more difficult for someone to just kind of barrel right through you, because now your weight's kind of off to the side. Now you could potentially lift the, step out, lift the leg up, or, thigh pry. You have a lot more options. So
yeah. I will comment just a little bit on when he does do this. He kicks him or trips him. He does a throw on him. And just I'll give credit to Lucas Lepri for how fast he just comes back up.
Yeah, like immediately pops back up after this. I'm sure there's some Japanese name for whatever you just did there.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. But.
Some kind of uchi of some kind. But and just how fast he just runs right back.
Back to his feet.
Thus, doesn't get the 2 points, but kind of gets an advantage. And then he gets his 2 points with the takedown by just bowling through him.
Yeah.
And then we get here. And Lucas Lepri is just trying to work his way back into this almost like De La Riva type grip where he can grab this lapel. Like, I'll pause it right here with the 8:42 of the match. He has this lapel here. It's passed behind the leg. And he's got his arm under the leg and he's got this connected to his lapel. So it stops Kaynan from being able to knee cut through.
Right. Because now, with that lapel grip, essentially his shoulder is connected through to his own leg, right? So if he tries to, ideally a good knee cut, you're kind of extending through your hips, right, and kind of like corkscrewing almost. Now he can't do that because his shoulder's kind of pinned through his body to his own leg.
And what Lucas Lepri is trying to do here is he's trying to bring his head forward just so he can get his hips just a little further back. So he can get, there we go. So he can center up. And this is exactly what he wants. Because he still has this lapel, right? And it's got locked behind his leg. And he's doing this because now he technically still has that kind of single leg, a one-armed single leg grip.
Right.
Whenever Kaynan puts his weight back, he has the ability to wrestle up if he needs to. And I guess I'll talk about it too. I know Kaynan's in a place where he can't do much, really. He has to be breaking these grips to pass. But I'll say this is also why Kaynan tends to lose some matches. Is passivity. He's sometimes over passive.
Yeah, you see here he addresses the collar grip, but kind of throughout this whole sequence is not hand fighting Lucas's left hand on his lapel, which is really the grip that's keeping him in this spot, right? Just kind of letting it hang out there, getting kind of counter gripping a little bit on Lucas's left leg in this case. But again, the grip that he really should be addressing is that left hand on his lapel.
Which I'll say this. I mean, Kaynan would have a hard time breaking it because this is going to be a strong grip, but he has to do something. He can't just sit here. And what Lucas Lepri was trying to do there is invert under him and try and get out the back door.
Yeah. And if he was able to fully invert out that way, you can see he was kind of almost extending Kaynan's leg, so he would be able to pop right up into a single leg and wrestle up that way.
And then, yeah, okay. So I was going to talk about this. There, we're at 6:58. This is actually... I've seen him do this. If you look up Lucas Lepri, just sparring footage, he does this so often, and it's so stupid. But it's one of those sweeps that if you get really good and fast enough, he does this to black belts all the time and sparring. It's just, and it's one that your coach will probably teach you day one from De La Riva. And he's basically just scooping this leg and bringing his leg back. It doesn't end up in a sweep, but it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. But does off balance kind of, and in the re-guard, is able to get to kind of different grips and start playing a different game here.
And able to get to his De La Riva.
Right.
Get the space. And real fast, we're going to go real fast. I've been playing with this actually a lot in no-gi and gi. Like, I noticed when you were teaching De La Riva, that grip behind the knee.
Oh, yeah, sitting up and...
Yeah, gripping behind the knee. I didn't realize how often I would play just reclined, in this De La Riva trying to get... And how, like, almost lazy of a way of playing De La Riva that is. And I guess if you look up Lepri's instructionals on BJJ Fanatics, he calls this something different. It's like De La Riva sit-up guard or something like that. And it's got like a different name.
Right.
But it's just a different way to play it, where you grip with your right hand behind the knee and you stay attached. And it allows, I think, for easier ability to wrestle up.
I would say it allows an easier ability to wrestle up. And also, if you think about it now, instead of starting in like a supine, like relaxed position, now because he is sitting up, if he were to go into some sort of inversion, now he has momentum of falling back to the mat to help him with that. So,
and also an easier access to lapels and collars.
Yeah, right now he can pass up that right hand or even his left hand.
Yeah, definitely something in gi I've been playing a lot more, because to me, I almost thought it was more of a no-gi thing. But like the more I watched Lucas Lepri, especially watching this match, I was reminded, because I went down this kind of rabbit hole when we started watching this match, that I started watching just on his YouTube and stuff, his rolls, and he plays this so often. And it honestly makes me want to get his instructional and just like really binge out on it.
Yeah.
But it allows him to immediately switches the grip, and he gets back into this like single leg, and he gets into this shin on shin.
And now in a super strong position where he has that lapel grip again, and his leg now into like a De La Riva position, where he can start off balancing Kaynan and getting his own hips out into that single leg.
And like a brute, he gets out of that scot-free. And he even does like almost all the wrong things Kaynan does here, and he still gets away. You know what I mean? So this kind of like X guard sweep, gets up on the single leg, wrestles up right there. That's like, he should have been able to be taken down here, but it's because he's so big that he's able to push Lepri off of him.
And to be fair, like, I think it's right here. As soon as he does wrap his head, Lepri does step in and almost kind of like run the pipe on him.
So he does the right thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know, kind of just very strong.
Because Lepri does the right thing, puts him down.
Yeah, puts him down, jumps to the far side, is on his hips.
And then he just spins and pushes him away.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, there is something to be said about that. Obviously, competing at a far different level, but even just like personal experience, like you can, technically do the right things in a sequence, and lose that battle, purely because someone's a little more game in that moment.
Yeah. And then they just run and spaz, and you just don't get your grip.
Yeah. Like, it sucks, but that's just how it is. Yeah.
And I'll give credit to where it's due. I mean, Kaynan was doing kind of the right thing, like by disengaging, because if he would have gotten swept here, it would have been 2.
Yeah, and like that is a good point. Like, that is the correct response. Scramble back to your feet, disengage.
And now you're back in
a... can't, chain wrestle or, keep you pinned. So
yeah, and he can't chain wrestle. And if you had put him back on his butt from there, it wouldn't have been a sweep. It wouldn't have been a takedown. But now he has to wrestle you where you are bigger, stronger, so you probably have the advantage.
Right.
Pause right here, actually. We're at 6:08. Try not to read too much into it, but I still think it's a part of gamesmanship and everything. The way Kaynan is, his posture versus Lucas Lepri when they are like resetting. Like Kaynan is hands on his knees, like looks exhausted, and Lepri just looks like, all right.
Yeah, walking around, checking the time. Like, oh, all right, we're going back in.
Yep. Mealy grips up, and if we notice, he takes kind of the same grip combination. Sleeve and collar, hips back. The ability to pull guard or shoot in for a takedown if he wants to. And I know a lot of the time we see people stall out, especially in like white belt and blue belt from here, because they don't know what their options are.
Right.
But when you have higher level people do it, it's because they like these grips because they have a dilemma,
Yeah, that like he pointed out, like at a lower level, you will see people just stall here because and kind of like lack of knowledge of what their options are, right? Like they understand like, oh, a collar tie is good and an arm's good. Like I know these are good grips, but they have no concept of where to go with those grips, right? I'm only I got the good grip. Now what? And the other person is the same thing. They mirror, and then it's 5 minutes of jockeying back and forth.
It's so funny because it's so true. And you watch white belt tournaments, and they just it's just tug of war for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like I got the grip, coach. It's like okay, but now what?
Yeah, so I'd just say like if you're a white belt and you're wanting to compete, actually some of my best advice is just disengage grips and just don't let this happen immediately, and just work on your outside wrestling for now, and just try not to get grabbed.
Yeah,
like it sounds stupid, but being a defensive wrestler in like a gi tournament and just not letting someone get grips, most of the time people are just gonna shoot on you because they don't.
Yeah, at a certain point they'll get frustrated, take a bad shot, and now you're on top.
Yeah. So pro tip, if you're a white belt and you're wanting to get good at wrestling, you might take a stalling call maybe once, but if you end up on top and like you're pushing someone's head to the mat, good for you.
Now you're winning.
Or it's not the end of the world if you get your grips, pull guard.
Pull guard. You're in the gi after all.
Yeah.
Just play guard.
Just play guard, and I'm not going to think bad of you. Your coach might, but I'm not going to think bad of you. And if you're doing a tournament and you're like training to like win or get better at jiu-jitsu, just get the game going.
Yeah. Just get to what you've been training in the gym as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Just
like if you have not been doing day after day of wrestling rounds, right? Or like a wrestling Shark Tank or whatever, then pull guard.
Yeah.
And just start playing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
There's no reason to, waste 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes of the match trying to wrestle and then getting taken down. Now you're losing. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even what you've been training.
And it's not even, as a coach, I would rather see you pull guard and start playing jiu-jitsu than I would see you just lock up with someone for 4 minutes pulling back and forth. It's boring. As a coach, I don't even want to watch it. I would rather you lose on points, but trying to actually get good or like establish a game, right? All right. But yeah, they're locked up here.
All that being said, here they are locked up.
It doesn't go on forever, though. At least they know what to do with it. And okay, in defense, if a takedown is given up here,
kind of decides the match.
So like, let's be honest here. Okay, so actually pause. That's actually a good point. We're gonna pause right here at 5:33. This is what we're talking about: Lucas Lepri's game and how Kaynan doesn't want to play into it.
Right.
If Kaynan pulls guard he's likely to get passed. Lucas Lepri is one of the best guard passers in jiu-jitsu, in gi jiu-jitsu. That's why he doesn't want to pull guard. Lucas Lepri doesn't want to pull guard because Kaynan's bigger and it's going to be harder to sweep him.
Right. And he's already up 2.
So if Lucas Lepri pulls guard, he's pulling Kaynan on top of him, which he has to sweep him to tie it. And that would just be to tie it. And he's a bigger guy, and Kaynan now has the incentive, if Lucas Lepri pulls guard, is just to stall.
Right.
And it's easy to stall on top. It is harder to stall on bottom with someone trying to pass you. In my that's the way I'd look at it.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Yeah. On top, it's much easier to look like you're trying to pass, but not pass in order to, not get a stalling call and remain winning. It's much harder on bottom to look busy while not also actually being busy and spending a lot of energy.
I actually did kind of some of it today.
Yeah, you did.
The hate in his eyes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy to stall on top if you just bear hug someone and just hold them and then move your hips a little bit. It looks like you're trying to body lock or pass, but you're not. The other person's winning on underhooks, but you're just waiting for your opportunity. But yes, it's easier to stall on top. Ooh, almost got him.
It was one.
So again, locks up, same grip. He goes for that single leg. But again, collar. Goes for a throw. Yeah.
But something to be said is that in both his guard play and his standing, whether or not the attack succeeds, Lucas is showing Kaynan a lot more looks.
Yeah.
Right. Like you were saying earlier, that kind of like day one De La Riva sweep. It didn't actually sweep Kaynan, but it keeps him honest, right?
Yeah.
Of oh, I can't just stand in his guard because he's gonna sweep me, right? Same thing, sort of with the throw here of okay, I can't be too lazy because he will throw me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's also the reason why this happens right here. And this is important because this becomes the decider. Because we were joking before about winning on advantages and disadvantages. Kind of gets a disadvantage here. He gets a penalty. And that's because he was stalling.
Yeah.
Lucas Lepri goes for his throw. He just calls him here because Kaynan doesn't actually do anything from here. He doesn't even snap or...
Yeah, he doesn't try to off balance. He doesn't show an attack. He grips up, and I'm sure he feels really strong, but he's not going anywhere with it. Right.
And again, he's kind of inching his hips forward, but if we notice something about our hips, we want to, if you keep your hips back, you can pull guard. And if you keep your hips back, they can't grab your legs. So that's the reason why you see this posture down like this in gi jiu-jitsu, is because it's a very defensive posture. Now, as soon as you bring your hips closer, it allows you to throw your opponent and it allows you to get underhooks. But that's the sacrifice you're making. Or you get thrown.
Yeah.
And again, this is Lucas is just showing attacks right now.
Yeah. Again, just keeping him honest, right? Okay, you stand up too straight close to me, I'm going to get under you and throw you. Right.
And you notice he keeps going to the same grip. He knows his game plan. And he pulls guard. Because I think what happens here is Lucas Lepri realizes when he pulls guard at this 4:38 mark, pulls guard, he kind of does it to like almost try and get a sweep like right away. But when he pulls guard, which is okay, kind of a tangent. Sorry. When we pull guard like this, like don't just pull guard to pull guard.
Right.
Pull guard to do something, like try and get an immediate sweep or something like that, because you're wasting the momentum of your guard pull.
Right.
So just like an instant, like little tidbit for people trying to, newbie tip, I guess. When you're pulling guard, don't just pull guard to pull it. Pull guard into something. Like really get under someone. Like really go for your butterfly hooks. Like don't just like sit down. Really use it to extend to get a spider to really push someone and off balance them.
Right. And it's honestly something I would say for like any guard, right? Like obviously you want to be defensively sound and you want to, retain guard and all that, but there's something to be said about as soon as you enter into a guard position, right? Whether it's half or closed or some sort of open guard, no matter how you enter into that guard, you want to immediately generate offense, right? It is it's much harder to pass somebody if you're actively under threat of getting swept or attacked, right?
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah.
And, two, it immediately puts you kind of in the driver's seat, right? If you come into guard and immediately attack a limb or immediately attack a sweep, now you're the one initiating action, and they have to respond to you instead of the other way around.
Starting up around 4:30. But yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. Always be attacking from bottom because then it allows the person not to be passing. Enters his Delahiva here. Okay. And what is this called? Your fancy name. What is this called?
So I believe this is called Mantis.
Was this okay? So it wasn't called that before, right? Or did Kaynan come up with it? Because someone calls it Mantis.
Maybe. I would assume that name probably came from Kaynan.
Yeah.
Because he likes bugs and creatures.
Some would say he's weird.
Yeah, I don't quite know if this was called Mantis before Kaynan or not. I do know that now it's like colloquially known as Mantis. There could be another name for it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it looks dumb like from the outside. It looks like a dumb guard. Like,
I think
they can just like step around, but it's surprisingly like a pretty good like bite or control on someone's foot because you have a kind of like a nice closed circle on their leg.
You kind of just summed up all of jiu-jitsu in one statement.
Yeah.
I know it looks dumb.
Yeah. That really is all of jiu-jitsu, actually.
I know it looks stupid.
It looks really stupid, but trust me, it works.
Yeah. Trust me, we know what we're talking about. It looks dumb as hell. I don't know. How often do you, like, I'll just say now, I don't play this that often. I was trying to I was trying to get this to work more with Micah the other day, but I was having problems with it. I'm not even going to act like I'm some expert at Mantis. Like, yeah. But is there stuff you noticed about playing it when you played it that made it work better when you played it?
Yes. I would say prioritizing your like non-mantis leg, having an inside position, like trying to butterfly hook with that opposite leg. And then also thinking of the mantis hook almost as like a reap, even though it's coming from the other direction.
Okay.
Where like the control to keep the foot is going to be like low enough where you can grab your own shin. But ultimately, the real off balance from it is lifting that like mantis leg to the back of their knee and trying to push their knee away from you.
Okay.
So like in this case to his right, like his knee almost like you were like going to like reap the knee, but with like your shin to the back of their knee.
So
in like that direction.
And that way you're not necessarily having to grab your shin. If you just are able to create that scissoring pressure.
Yeah, that kind of your arm chopping up, your leg chopping down.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. So like honestly, I would make the argument then to me like that is also like it's one of those things where you watch people put in mantis and grab their own shin. It's kind of misleading. You don't want to just grab your own shin. You're actually trying to.
Yeah, the real goal is trying to like lift and elevate away in the other direction.
So if you're going
hunkering down and grabbing. Right?
Yeah, if you're just grabbing your own shin, you're defeating the purpose. Like if you have the opportunity to elevate, you should be elevating.
Yes.
But if they're heavy on that foot and you can't elevate, grab your own shin. But once you have the opportunity to elevate, break that grip from your shin and just really okay, makes sense to me now. Yeah, I'm gonna play with that a little bit more because, of course, watching him do it makes me want to try it. Yeah. You watch any footage of any high level competitor doing something, and you're like, all right, I need to do that more
next week. Yeah. Yeah. So you see here. So if you back it up just a little bit, and
I'll hit it in slow mo.
Yeah, maybe throw this in slow mo.
Yeah, we're at the 425 mark. Oh, shit. Pause. shit. Half speed at the 422.
So you see, he puts when he scoops, that right leg goes underneath the butterfly hook.
Mm-hmm.
And as he starts to tilt, right now, that left leg kind of chops down to reap almost.
He gets this. But lets it go. It's weird because let's pause. Like, I think this is key too. I noticed this.
Yeah.
How he just stretches them out.
I did notice kind of a funny thing in this situation when I was watching it earlier. He starts off pressing away on Kaynan's thigh, and as this sequence goes on, that foot starts drifting higher and higher. And he kind of starts just like kind of stomping into his balls, which is really good. It keeps him away, but
in the gym I do it like a slam poetry clap, which is my snap when I agree with something. Yeah, do that. Do that more. It's a post. Who cares? But yeah, he's elevating the side, pulling the side, and this is just a bad place. And this, I don't even know what to say for what Kaynan should be doing. But like I've been in this position before. It's where like you are posting out where you literally can't do anything because you're gonna be swept. So
yeah, it's a tough spot for Kaynan, right? Because he can't really turn in either direction. Because if he turns left, he kind of opens up more space for Lepri to invert under, right? Or just come up and sweep that way. If he comes right, now he's a foot right up in his balls, which, like, is kind of the best butterfly hook there is. Because now he comes up to his right, and that heel's going to drive straight up into his crotch, and he's going to get swept that way.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And it's one of those things where we could say, oh, he's just buying time. But, like, what is Kaynan's best opportunity right here? Like, I'm going to give him credit where it's due. It's 345 of the mark, 354 of the match, and we got to pause. A lot of the times we see people in these positions, and I'll be in these positions, and my immediate thought is, I'm going to get swept if I go anywhere, but my opportunity is they go for a sweep, and they fuck up.
Right.
Or I catch what sweep they're going for midway through, and I can stop it.
Right. So sometimes in cases like this, you have to switch to being reactive. Right. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I have balance right now. I'm gonna wait and see what option they go for, and then I'll react. Yeah. Right. Because in this case, if you lead, then they can take whatever option they want. You're getting swept.
Yeah. And it's this is where the cycles switch. How we were talking about like defensive and offensive cycles. This is one of those moments where you see jiu-jitsu, how it's like movement, and then they like stop. And it's that moment where it's like, okay, the cycle has ended for one person and it's starting for another, or it might switch.
Right.
Because these situations, because someone has to make a decision.
Right. And especially in a case like this, right, the situation that Kaynan's in, we're talking about, he is no longer thinking about passing.
No.
Right. He's thinking, I have to do everything I can to stay like relatively on top. Right. So definitely a cycle switch for Lucas here.
Yeah. And especially, I mean, if he does compromise, he's now losing.
Right.
So he has to play this position, because if he concedes the sweep, sometimes conceding the sweep is the best decision. But here it's not, because once Lucas takes top, he's in a great passing position and he's now up by a disadvantage.
Yeah.
All right. 354. Hit it up. Hit this back into normal speed. Okay. Actually, real fast, I want to say something about this. There's no name for this position, but it's weird. This pseudo, like, it's like an X guard, but when you have this hook on the inside and then you have a leg over your arm, like I found, like, especially in Gi Jiu Jitsu, if you're really looking for the sweep, playing a single leg X where you actually scoop up under the single leg X is actually more powerful, because you're giving up the ankle lock, but realistically in Gi Jiu Jitsu, how often are you going to finish an ankle lock when you're on bottom, right? So like you'll see a lot of people like Leandro Lowe, Marigali, like all these high lever people will actually scoop under because it gives them a better ability to sweep up and have that leg over their shoulder when they come up in a passing position.
Right. And if you think about, like if you were to overwrap it, right, like kind of like a Achilles grip or the ankle lock grip, you know, like kind of I would say the most common response to that is trying to pressure forward into the person, right? Trying to like, you know, strip the foot off your hip and kind of barrel towards them. In this case, with an underhook or a scoop on the leg, now all that does is put him further underneath you, right? If you try to barrel forward and even take the foot off your hip, he still has a scoop grip. He's still underneath you, right? Now he can, you know, rotate the direction, sweep up, wrestle up. So
yeah. So I would just say, for those, if you're trying to adapt your no-gi game for gi jiu-jitsu, think about like if you're playing that single leg X or like X guard, instead of just gripping up over the top, like get over a scoop grip, maybe grab pants, because you're gonna find so many sweeps that are just gonna instantly happen, because that is such a compromising place to be.
Yeah.
So then he pushes off like an X guard, does a wrestle up, kicks out the leg, and pulls him right back down.
And again, kind of a similar idea to something we mentioned a little bit earlier, right? Of, you know, pulling guard immediately into an attack, right? Whether it's a limb or a sweep. In this case, of wrestling up into, you know, a single leg, but immediately into the takedown or the off balance, right?
Yeah.
He's not wrestling up and then hanging out in the single leg, right? It's as soon as he comes to his feet, he's going for the trip. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because if he, like what happened the last exchange, right? It gives time to disengage. Like here, he can chain stuff together.
Right.
And then he gets his 2 points. Now, the elephant in the room, he doesn't stay here very long. As much as we want to support Lepri. And he's a great passer. He is. He really is. Like, I recommend people watch him for his passing. But he doesn't stay here long, if I remember. But, so when passing De La Riva, I got this from Leandro Lowe. People don't do this enough. People focus on this far leg, which is a good thing to focus on. But if you can focus on really pushing this leg further down to where their hand is, what you're doing is you're making it so that scissoring pressure or their ability to push near the top of your lever that is your knee,
Right.
like is lessened as it falls down your shin.
Yeah. If you can push that leg down and have your knee be free to move, right, and point outwards, it's going to make De La Riva feel way less controlling on you, right?
Yeah.
Because the more they can push your knee in, they can, off balance you left and right. So definitely focus on that De La Riva leg instead of the floating leg.
And I've especially people say focus on this leg, and that's true. But I feel like most of the time, this coming out and around, and like even pushing it down to the mat, also negates their ability to invert or like throw this De La Riva hook really deep, through the hip. So I always, when I'm rolling, immediately grab pants and like stuff it into the mat as hard as possible.
It also ties into probably my favorite way of passing in nogi, which is like a little, almost kind of like back step thing, which also relies on killing the angle on that De La Riva leg, right? Of either pushing the knee down or like stepping and re-stepping with that foot to kill the angle, and then kind of like a little back step and slide out. But again, the focus being on the De La Riva leg and not so much the floating leg.
All right. Like reset. So here, all Lucas Lepri is trying to do is enter here. There we go. Yeah. I was going to say, we talked about it in people having passing positions that they want to get to because, right, you have like wind conditions or whatever. Like Lucas Lepri, his win condition is knee cuts and headquarters. Those are his two positions that he's trying to get to, and that's the main thing he's trying to get to here. So you see him immediately, as soon as they reset, he's pushing this down, immediately gets there. And then he's trying to get to his knee cut position. But Kaynan, being the Hulk monster he is, let's go back. It's how he bullies him into this single leg. I'm just going to, like, there's no freaking way he does this to someone like his size. Right here.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I will say also, like, his ability to keep his foot on the hip there, like, it's really not in a good angle for keeping that foot on the hip, and somehow it just stays there.
Yeah. And he's doing everything.
He's got to feel so freakishly strong.
Yeah, and then even this hip bump, look. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to roast Kaynan here, but this is like the ugliest single leg sweep I've seen in a long fucking time.
Yeah. Like, if you pay attention, like, the angle of Kaynan's outside leg, it's like, ideally, you're connecting up, kind of scissoring, bringing your hips over the knee, right?
Yeah.
Kaynan here, his leg is flared, like, completely externally, and like, which normally is such a disadvantageous like position for power in your foot, right? Of like externally rotate your foot and then try to like push through your heel.
Yeah, you'll
and
probably
he's sweeping him like this.
You could probably pop something doing
you could definitely blow your knee out doing that. So.
And then like also here, if you noticed, I noticed this too. Look how his heels are back behind his hips, and most of the time, when someone's heels are behind their hips, it is very hard to push them backwards because the majority of their weight is forward,
right,
on their hips. But he bullies him.
Yeah, he's still able to, with that bad position and his feet behind him, still somehow get his hips over there.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it wasn't technical, but that was. It was a. It worked. If it works, it works. But that being said, I would not say that is a beautifully well done technique.
No.
He brooded his way through that.
Yeah. It is not how I would coach somebody through doing a single leg sweep.
I would clap and be like, good job, dude, if that was my decision, but I'm like, dude, come on. But then let's give advantage to where it's or credit to where it's due. Sweeps, immediately attacking, getting his grips in De La Riva. And this is where things are bad. Like, Lucas Lepri is not looking at the timer. This is 3 minute. If you look at Kaynan, he's just trying to disengage and like immediately get grips and kind of like settle.
Yeah, he's immediately looking at the clock like, okay, what's the time? How many points do I have? Meanwhile, Lucas is like, okay, I got swept, but I'm going right into my offense again.
And then immediately getting his lapel grips. And at this point, it's not wrong. I would also advise my athlete to do this too, is just trying to stay heavy and stall. You can see it. Just be heavy and negate everything he's trying to do. And if you look, this is really interesting too. He's immediately going for this same exact sweeping position he did the time before.
Right.
He's making that adjustment on the fly. He's like, that worked last time. I'm just going to hit it, go again.
And, a very similar takeaway from the Brzezinski match, right? Like, Brzezinski has his game plan, right? If I can get back to butterfly, I can sweep you, right? In this case, Lucas has kind of a similar thought, right? Okay, if I can get back to this grip, I can sweep him, right?
Again, getting this lapel, collar.
This is why, we mentioned it in that one, we mentioned a couple other ones, but, it's obviously a good idea to be a well-rounded athlete, but especially as competition gets tougher and tougher, or you're put into, a disadvantageous situation, it's also important to have an A game you can fall back on.
Yeah. Well, again, he's sitting up and he's got this lapel grip under his leg again, ready for a single leg and an off balance. Just switches to the other side. Wrestles up. All right. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
It is, it's something you probably
Around the
won't
115.
see very often in the training room or even a competition of someone barreling into your single leg. When you're built like Kaynan, it's the game plan. So
I don't know what the weight difference is here. I think Lucas Lepri is like 170 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
and Kainan's like 2.
He looks small compared to Kaynan.
And again, getting the single leg, pulling it back.
And so this is something I noticed with the first one as well, is that when Kaynan barrels into him, Lucas does not let go of his grip.
Yeah.
Right? He keeps the grip, resituates, gets back out, and now because he didn't let go of it, he still has this good lapel grip for the single leg, so he can just go right back into it.
And I'll just say that his ability to come right back up, even though, so it's the 1 minute mark, he had already gotten like put back on his butt. Lepri's already just like dog. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, like, I want to win this.
Yeah.
He knows he's down 2 points, and we're only have a minute left. And to be down 2 points in a minute left, you have to be doing something, and he's doing it. It's not like he's not looking up, going, oh, "How am I going to do this?" Or he's no. It's just I have to get it. I'm going. Going.
Like, you notice the whole sequence doesn't even look at the clock.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he, is probably aware. Okay, I'm short on time. I need to win. But doesn't rest in this sequence at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Immediately engaging, and you can see Kaynan is looking for the times to rest.
Yeah. And there's another layer to this, right? Like the fact that Lucas came up on a single leg, and Kaynan, being much bigger, was able to just kind of barrel forward into him, is a frustrating moment, right? Especially, being short on time and being down points, and then your opponent, doing something, frustrating and, untechnical.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that can end the match right there. Right?
It's discouraging.
It's discouraging. It's frustrating. It's like, damn, I'm back on bottom. That was stupid. So to have the frame of mind of like, okay, that was dumb, but anyway, I'm back on top. Yeah. Right. It's a very important mindset to have.
So we're at the 37 mark, and Kaynan does what he does for the very first takedown in the first exchange, and that's he goes for this pants grip and tries to barrel forward through Lucas for a third time.
Right.
It hits slow-mo. Both of them look at the clock. Lepri wins this grip, and that's the difference.
Yes.
Is Lucas Lepri gets this grip, and before he didn't have that. What he's able to do here is also push and really negotiate range. And his leg is much further back this time. This leg is not between the legs, and he's not pinching his knees together.
Yeah. Now his feet are in a much better position. He has now the collar grip to dictate range, like you were saying. He's now set up for a much better situation than before.
So when Kaynan pushes into him, he's very much easily to pull him to where, like a steering wheel, that bus driver steering wheel, just that big turn. He's able to just turn him right to where that post isn't now.
Yeah.
Well,
which is another thing to note there is that because Kaynan dedicates his hand to the pants, right now, as Lucas turns him in that direction, he's holding on to the pants, Oh, now I have to post, but it's too late.
Yeah.
Right? He took away his own post.
So we're at the 27 mark. Slow-mo. Lucas Lepri's on top. Hitting normal speed, 23 seconds. And he's not just tied it up, but now he's up because Kaynan has a disadvantage. And now Lucas Lepri, I said it before, we have an interesting relationship with stalling in this. But Lucas Lepri at 23 mark goes for the most stally passing position ever, which is the double under.
Yes.
On purpose.
On purpose.
Which is...
Okay. I'm up. He's a disadvantage.
There's 20 seconds left.
20 seconds left. I'm staying right here.
Yeah. And I will say, this is like the number one thing. If you can get someone's ankles up into the sky, there's no way that they can come up to their feet or sweep you if their feet are up.
Yeah. In order for them to come up, they're going to have to backflip or turn or do something bad for them in order to start coming up back to their feet. Right?
Yes.
So a fantastic position to stall from.
Yes. So he goes for it. He doesn't get there, but you see he goes for it. Right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
He's like, I want double unders. Okay. I'll suffice with one.
Yes, I'll suffice with one. And then he gets this like De La Hiva.
Push in the air. Yeah. See, Kaynan now goes for Mantis. Even gets a butterfly hook. But Lepri, they're very short on time and manages to keep his balance.
Yeah, and everyone's cheering. And again, this is sorry, big people. No one will ever root for you. I don't want to be a jerk, but if you're a heavyweight, no one cares if you lose. That's the one thing about.
I will say, I want it on record. I'm a Josh Saunders fan.
Yes.
He's pretty cool, but otherwise, completely.
Like it's just
maybe Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo's also cool. But.
Like they're all cool. Like I love you guys, but that being said, like I'm pausing here. If you had a Lachlan Giles going against a Victor Hugo, I'm gonna root.
I'm rooting for Lachlan.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah. No one cares about big people. you've been winning in life for the longest time. No one cares if you lose. You have all the advantages of being big. Like, just give us one. So, but that's why everyone was cheering for Lepri when he won this. It wasn't just because he won by a disadvantage, right? He won because he was the smaller guy and he outdogged him. He like out techniqued him, and that, even though like it's preached in jiu-jitsu that technique, like the smaller guy can win, and everything, it doesn't happen all the time. It really doesn't.
It's tough. Size does matter.
It very much matters.
There are weight classes for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. There's a really good quote that I'm probably not going to get word for word, but it's from Instructional by Neil Melanson, who is a fucking giant human being, but trains with like Dominic Cruz and Michael Chandler, a couple of smaller guys. And he has a quote somewhere in one of Instructionals that's, size, size does matter, and it's not relative, right? Like, looking at two small guys roll and looking at two big guys roll is different because it is different.
Yes.
Right? Like, they do not have the same game. They're not going to see the same thing, because size matters. It has a direct influence on how you roll and how the match goes.
Even how your game develops.
How your game develops, what you're capable of, right?
Who is it? I was rolling at a gym, and I was visiting this gym, and I was this was back when I was like a blue belt, and I was rolling against this big old white belt, big, not just big, but big. He was maybe 250 plus. He was on top, and I'm trying to like get my guard going and everything, and it's hard. And the coach said something, because I started taking advantage of the situation. His coach said, "He's not going to stop being fast, so don't stop being big." So I am not even saying that big people need to not play big people games.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I'm saying.
Not at all. Yeah. Like, if you are a bigger person, play into that.
Yeah.
Like, you have maybe the best advantage
yes
in jiu-jitsu. Like, use it.
You kidding me? If I gained 50 pounds, you know how often I'd be using that just to lay on people?
If I was 5 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier, I would so use that. All I would do is body lock and mount.
That's my dream.
It's my dream.
You have no idea how many like Instagram people I follow that are big guys, where I watch them like they're fatter. I'll just say it, fat, big guys, and I just envy their game so much. I'm like, I wish I could just pass that way. I wish I could not Toriando and just smash through people.
You just bully.
Like, I'm envious of that. But all right. Little tangent, but so we can go into our takeaways of this match. Again, I'll just say Lucas Lepri, his ability to be in the pocket consistently about what his game is and being so dedicated to it, and his mindset and his cerebral qualities is what won him this match. Where it was like Wardzinski, it didn't matter where the match went necessarily, time-wise, points-wise, everything. He's a gamesman, so he knows when he's down, knows when he's up.
Right.
But it's very much, in this position, what's the best thing I can be doing right now?
Right.
There's no downtime. It's no, like, looking at the clock. It's, what do I need to be doing right now? And his De La Hiva and grip and mantis guard, like, all stuff I really want to try. Like, I'm not much of a single leg guy. I'm more of a sweeper kind of player, so I'd probably go more that angle. But like, what did Bruce Lee say? You take what's useful, throw away what's not, and then add what's slightly your own.
Right.
So I'm going to look at the things Lucas Lepri does from De La Riva and try to add those to my guard because I play more of a deep hook De La Riva. But that grip on the leg, that thing where he, he sweeps out that bottom leg by catching the ankle. Yeah. I'm going to do that more. Those are the things I'm going to look for to add to my game. Do you have any takeaways?
I'd say kind of similar takeaways. Composure, focusing on, like you said, just what is the best decision I can make in this moment, right? I think is probably the best mindset you can have in a role or in a competition. Because in that sense, you're not focusing on the external factors that you have no control over, right? Like how much time's on the clock, or like, oh, what's the point situation or advantage, disadvantage, what have you. Or allowing yourself to get frustrated by, dumb shit happens. There's been a dumb moment in every match I've had. And honestly, every role I've had. That's just jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Dumb shit happens.
Yeah.
But having the composure to realize, like, okay, that was frustrating, but what is the most intelligent thing I can do right now, right? And then incrementally work through that process. And, if you have the knowledge to back it up, that thought process will get you back to an advantageous position or a sweep or a submission,
So about these athletes, Lucas Lepri, I'm pretty sure is retired. Last time he competed was 2019 ADCC. I don't think he's planning on competing again. That's the last time he competed. So I haven't read anything that he's retired, but more than likely he's retired. He didn't really have the longest jiu-jitsu career, I think, especially for a gi athlete. I mean, he was 111 and something, or like 20 or something like that. So that's not like the most insane career. Like Wardzinski was like 200 or something like that.
Yeah.
Felipe Andrews up there too when we were watching him. Like Leandro Lowe, Marigali have huge match counts. He was only like 110, 111. But he's one of those athletes that I recommend everyone watch because it's like that, burn, was twice as bright for half as long kind of athletes. Like when he was at the top, he was at the top. And I was talking to Jack about it. I think he went on a 6 years in a row, 5 or 6 years in a row in his weight class when he gold at Worlds. And that like doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
Like that many years in a row, and it's crazy dominance, especially in gi. And a couple of those runs, he did it without being scored on, like perfect Worlds runs. And that's insane.
Which is crazy impressive.
That's so good. So I just recommend people watch him for his skill. Now, I will make the caveat that I'll be honest, he doesn't have the most exciting style in the world. Like, really, he doesn't. Like, it's not necessarily exciting, but it's right. It's correct. It's like, in the way he's had perfect runs, it's almost a perfect game. So I just recommend people watch it for that reason. You might have sometimes be like, I don't really know what he's looking for or what's going on. Just watch him and kind of you won't be able to emulate everything he does right away, but what he's doing is stuff that is like your basic jiu-jitsu gym is going to teach you if you're there long enough. And so look out for him. And if you're wanting a gi athlete to come to YouTube and just watch footage of, look up Lucas Lepri. His rolling footage, I mean, we have someone that recommended up here too, is just amazing too. Like he's older now, so he's not as fast, but he just like plays with black belts, and it's great to watch. Anything you want to say?
Really not much else. Very impressive performance. Again, I kind of stressed it enough. Composure, focusing on just what is the correct decision to make, will go a really long way. Personally, I think probably the single leg stuff is going to be something I'm going to play around with a lot. I have been trying to add in more wrestle ups and just like another threat to my guard besides just playing guard on my back.
And I know you don't play gi that often, but even those lapel passes.
Yeah, that pass in the lapel through for the single leg and Deli Hiva, I'm definitely going to give that a shot. So,
Yeah.
like
I could see that tying into your game very well.
Yeah.
I also agree that's one of those things you should add to your gi game. But yeah, that was the podcast this week. So next week we don't really have any ideas, so give us ideas in the comments. Maybe I'll give this one to Jack. I forced him to watch a gi match this week, so maybe he won't force me, but maybe there's some no-gi savant he wants me to watch that taps someone out with like an inverted toe hold from fucking triangle. I don't know. Or he sends me some like sketchy Russian footage on concrete. So maybe we'll watch something like that. But that's the podcast. You know,
it's gonna be was it Ryan Hall choking at that guy in a pizza place?
Yes. All right, we're gonna watch World Star Hip Hop, which. Also, like, honestly, if you guys want to do that, we'll do that on the Patreon. If you want to see us give analytical point of views on bum fights and grappling matches on the street, just let us know, and those will be on the Patreon.
Actually, a quick note with that. I don't know if you follow Barry Robinson at all.
No.
He's like a striking coach. He'll occasionally do, they're honestly kind of a joke, but he'll occasionally do like little... things on Instagram of breaking down like a short little street fight.
Oh, I know who you're talking about now.
And he has a saying that that like the streets are leveling up or like something along those lines. But like people out and about actually kind of have hands a little bit.
It's getting more and more as this stuff becomes more popular.
Yeah,
that's why you don't fight people in the street.
That's why you don't fight people in the street,
dude. I swear to God,
people know shit. It's dangerous.
You start pushing someone and that lead leg gets light and it starts getting that Muay Thai. Yeah. Dude, I'm running. I'm done. I don't want to be kneed in the head today. But so what we have coming to the Patreon is we're doing a Dune book review. We're gonna be talking about we're gonna be listening or talking about the relation to the movies. Jack has read the books before. I am just reading the books. I just got through done with Dune and Dune Messiah. I'm reading Children of Dune now. We're gonna do the first trilogy as a kind of Patreon podcast that you guys can listen to. We'll also be doing mailbags on Patreon too. So if you want to send us messages, and if we get enough messages, we'll do a mailbag for you guys, and we'll answer your questions about technique, jiu-jitsu. It could be about UFC, MMA, like it could be about sports teams. I don't really care. You know, you can ask us really weird questions, and we'll answer them.
Depending how weird they are, we may roast you back. But
yes, if they are too weird, we will roast you back. Yeah. But if you like the podcast, follow us on all the socials, give us good reviews, tell your friends about the podcast. That's a really big deal. Like that's the best way to spread the podcast is word of mouth. And so anything else you would add?
You all excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. You know, if you or someone you know, you feel like would benefit from match study or even just would enjoy the entertainment of talking a little bit of shit here and there, you know, recommend it to your friends, your gym mates,
your rivals,
your friends, the guy who drops in every once in a while, you know, him too.
That guy's a little weird. The guy who dodges promotions. You know who you are.
You know you are.
Oh, come on. Thanks.